Welcome back, or welcome the first time to one of our sessions today. So I want to thank everyone for coming and thank Bill McMahon in particular for producing this with me. So welcome to America's Boating Club, USPS 2021 Virtual Annual Meeting, Attendees Bootcamp, the last in our series. So today we'll discuss your role in maximizing value in a virtual meeting as an attendee, and how it's different in presentational sessions that we'll experience during the virtual annual meeting and different in working meetings that we may also experience there. We'll explore the basic functionality of the free conference call desktop app that is the technology platform for all sessions, and we'll take a look at the full virtual annual meeting schedule. So, our overall goal is to help make all participants succeed, from speakers to producers to audience members. So here are 6 basic steps that you can take to become the ideal attendee at a virtual meeting. And we'll delve into these more as we proceed in the session, but here's why these action steps are so important. Because audiences really can make or break online meetings. So let's just go around to get our thinking in the right direction, and let's just name one thing that an attendee, just for fun, that an attendee can do to ruin a virtual meeting. Why don't we ask our departmental executive producers that question? Start with Christy this time. Do a reverse order. Christy, what's one thing an attendee can do to wreck things?
Accept a phone call while their mic is accidentally on.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Margie, what's another thing they could do?
Yeah, definitely start cooking something in the kitchen while their mic is on. We've had that.
And that's another great example. Randy?
Obviously, just having being off mute, but even worse is having 2 receivers, maybe a phone and a computer, both playing audio.
And causing feedback, which is really destructive. That's a good one. Miles?
I think maybe, I like all the others, but maybe talking too much or asking too many questions during a Q&A.
I mean, hijacking the meeting. Yeah, you got,
correct.
Yeah, if you want to be a good participant, you kind of try to catch a flow for it. Is this a meeting where it really is kind of grinding down into the depths of something in great detail, or are we trying to just do a highlight, brisk thing? Try to get a feel for that from what the presenters are doing, and they're setting a tone, and be sensitive to that, because you can ruin a meeting by hijacking it. Good one. Lyle, you get the last word here. What else could somebody do to ruin a virtual meeting in the audience?
Well, I particularly agree with Miles. I think he made the key point. But you have said earlier, you talked about surroundings and light and all the physical things that if you're going to have your cameras on. And one of the things that really distracts me with people that keeps their cameras on is people that have fans going. And that particularly applies down south, I know. But we've even had some examples today where there's ceiling fans rolling full blast in the background of people that are that have their cameras on, and this is really distracting to me, and I think it would be to others too.
That is a great point. Thank you for making that one. Yeah, sort of photobombing the meeting with something in your webcam that's just really distracting. So those are all good ones. So we want to help our attendees, as much as we can. So these are the things they should do, and those are ways why it's so important. So let's look. Assuming you're going to try to be an ideal attendee, look at the 2 basic different participant roles for virtual meeting. There's going to be 2 basic types of virtual annual meeting events: the presentational sessions and the working meetings. So, the presentational, basically trying to convey information, and the working meetings like committee get-togethers, which basically want to have discussion, a lot of discussion. So the key speakers at these 2 types of meetings are the presenters in the presentational sessions, who basically put on a PowerPoint slideshow, and the facilitators, who typically chair a working meeting and try to lead the discussion and get everybody involved. So Line producers is the next role, and they are behind the scenes for the most part, technical engineers controlling the meeting, software, recording, managing the session, managing chat, keeping people muted, and helping the key speakers in other ways. And then the executive producers, and we just heard from them, are the kind of mentors to the whole process, to leaders of both the speakers and the producers within their department, trying to help this whole process go well. It's the marathon production, and they're there to facilitate communications and provide leadership. So our typical roles as executive producers are as chief aides to our national departmental leaders. So just in case you don't know, Lyle is the executive producer for the Chief Commander's Department. Miles Gee for the National Executive Department. Yours truly for the National Educational Department. Randy Stowe for the National Administrative Department. Margie Barra for the National Secretary's Department. And Christy Anderson for the National Treasurer's Department. So we're the ones who are getting more gray hairs and having even more headaches than the rest. So here's what to expect at the virtual annual meetings that you're going to, regardless of whether it's a presentation or a working meeting, there's some common elements you can expect at every one. There's going to be 10 minutes beforehand. You can get in there early as an attendee. You can have some small talk with the presenters and meet them, ask some questions in advance before it starts. You should see a title slide that tells you you're at the right place. Then at the start, one of the speakers is going to go first. They're going to outline the agenda, make sure you're in the right place. And they're going to, most important as an attendee, they'll go over this session protocol. This will typically include, they're going to say stay muted when you're not speaking, and they're going to say use your webcams or don't use your webcams, and possibly some other features like chat and reactions. They'll talk about those. Next, there will be the actual presentation or the working meeting and the segments, the sections, typically alternating between people doing prepared remarks and having some dialogue. And then finally, the closing with a meeting summary. And they should announce the next virtual annual meeting session, when it's happening and what it's about, so you can plan to come back. So let's take a up close and personal look at the free conference call desktop app that you'll use for all the more than 50 sessions that comprise the virtual annual meeting. Believe it or not, this part is as simple as 1, 2, 3. So step one, well in advance of the virtual annual meeting, download the app, which is fast and easy. It's only about 43 megabytes. And here we go. So you're going to go to freeconferencecall.com, the website. You're going to click on More at the top of the page. You're going to click Download. Then you're going to choose the correct option for whatever your connected device is. There's a Windows version, there's a Mac app, there's a Linux, there's Android. So whatever device you have, choose the right download and then proceed and download the app. It's very fast, and again, it's very light, 43 megs. Then, once you've downloaded it, open it and create your free account. So you're going to want to put your email, make a password, create your free account. Then add your personal information, and you can set it up the way. This is my non-Power Squadron account for our company, so it looks like this. You can upload a photo, you can put in your personal information and so on, and then log out. You're done. So now you've got an account, and now you can in your desktop app, you can join meetings, you can host meetings, you can play free conference call to the fullest. So step two, still well in advance, explore the app, play with it with a friend who's going to host for you with his or her meeting ID. So this is, not going to the meeting, but you're just practicing, just playing with it to get familiar. So here's what I did. So I went, there's the icon on my desktop. So I go over there, click on the blue telephone or the white circle to get in. I get in there. I log in. Okay, that's good. Into my new account, put in my email. Then I click on Home. And then I go to Join. And then I put in the meeting ID, which in this case, it's not USPS ABC, it's my friend. In this case, my friend is Ken Griffin. So I put in his account, and that's his meeting ID that he gave me to use for this little test we're going to do together. And then I click join. And now I'm in the meeting lobby, so I click join with computer audio. And then I check my audio level and quality. I practice. This is the most important thing for an attendee. I learn how to mute and unmute myself so I can be a good and not a rude attendee. So now I'm in Ken's, as you can see, I'm in Ken's meeting ID. He's got his screen up there, and I found my little microphone. I'm practicing muting and unmuting, and he's telling me how my sound level is so I can make sure that sounds good if I need to talk during a meeting. Practice unmuting and remuting and unmuting and remuting. That's the most important skill to have as an attendee. And then click video to check out your webcam. That's another thing you can do, and you should do in advance to see how that is. And then we talked in the facilitators meeting a little bit about checking your FLB, your framing, your lighting, your background. Make sure you look good there if you're going to be using your webcam and, at some point in one of the sessions. And then click on the views. You can explore the different views of active speaker, gallery view, compact view, and see how they all look, play with them. And then when you're finished playing with the different views and you're satisfied with how your webcam looks, turn off the video so you know how to turn it off. So now you can mute and unmute, and you can turn your webcam on and off, and you've made sure you look good. Then we want to try some of these features in advance with our friend to see. So if the presenters or the producer calls for using chat to ask questions or make comments, we'll know how to do that. And that's, again, at the bottom, there's a thing called chat. You click on that, it opens a chat, and you can choose who you're going to send a message to, everyone or individuals. And you click send, you see, then you can hit the X in the chat box and close it back down again. So play with chat. Then play with the one called reactions, which before we started today, someone was talking about using that for polling during executive. Tom Alley was talking about executive committee meetings using this for a polling function. So it's a pretty cool feature, and I was thinking a lot of our virtual annual meeting sessions will want to have this. And it's next to chat in the toolbar at the bottom. Click on reaction. You can raise your hand. You can like something, like in the social media world. You can dislike it. You can laugh. You can encourage. You can agree. So there's different choices of which of those icons you click on when asked to react to different parts of the session. So after you've explored, and there's more you could explore, you could spend some time in there with your friend and just see what other things there are to do and to see inside the app. But mostly, once you know how to mute and unmute and turn on and off your webcam, you're good. So you can leave and get out of it. So that's step 2, is play with it. So step 1, download it. Step 2, play with it with a friend. Step 3, now we're getting serious, to join the sessions of your choice during the virtual annual meeting. And you can join them up to 10 minutes beforehand, and you're going to go in the room and you're going to see the slide to know that you're at the right place, and probably be greeted by the presenters who will be very friendly to welcome you and make you feel comfortable before they start. So this time, again, you want to reopen the app before the session starts, clicking on the blue telephone. This time you do enter the USPS ABC meeting ID as the online meeting ID. You may have to delete one that's already in there, and then it will say online meeting ID so you know where to put it. But so you see your name, your email address, and then it's that box below that that's where you want to enter the online meeting ID, and then click join. So you want to click join on the next screen, join with computer audio, and then upon entrance, mute yourself. Now, even if the producer hasn't fixed the setting in free conference call to not say, announce yourself, don't announce yourself, because that may be inappropriate. So it's a better practice. Mute yourself, make sure your webcam's off, and so you kind of see what's going on in that room. Particularly if you're late and they're already presenting, you don't want to interrupt it by saying, hey, it's Joe Smith from Susquehanna. You just don't want to do that. It's kind of rude. So mute yourself and look around and see what's going on, and then you could, if it's still during the prelude and people are having a small talk session, you can unmute and join that and make sure your audio level is good and so forth. And then the most important thing, typically the second screen the presenter is going to show is the session protocol, which includes what's expected of attendees. So it's going to include whether or not to unmute yourself, and if so, when that's appropriate during this type of session. It'll also include whether or not to use your webcam, and again, if so, when. So pay attention to those things in the protocol so you can be a good attendee, a good participant, help the meeting achieve its goals by observing that protocol. At the end of the session, click leave. So that's basically it as far as wanting to be a good attendee. So are there any questions about attendees now? The last thing we want to do today is to take a quick look at the overall schedule, but we can stop here for any questions about audience participation. Or none. Okay. So anything in chat. So here's the schedule. We'll just kind of go through this day by. It's a big schedule. We've got lots of things to do. So as though this was a calendar. Day one, Monday, and we're not going to read every one of these. We'll just pause and take a chance to look at this. Craig had talked about this in the speaker's presentational boot camp first. Those major meetings. Bill talked about that the educational leadership strategy meeting, which is a good one to kick off that department's sessions. I think Ralph may have touched on this one during his comments during the presentational workshop. Very full schedule, but trying to respect people's time zone so we don't ask anybody to get up too early or stay too late for these sessions. And then we talked a bit at the beginning about on Saturday a very different type of meeting, the general meeting, and then a much needed break on Sunday before we resume for the second week. So it's a mix of committee meetings, presentational sessions, workshops, seminars, literally something for everyone who's a member. And the last full day is Wednesday, the 24th, before we go to a somewhat lighter schedule. And then finally a party on the very last day. So there it is. Quick look at the schedule. So spend some time with that schedule and learn and see what you want to attend ahead of time. Plan your sessions and have a great time at those meetings and seminars. So that's it for this one. We finished early, which is great. So are there any questions about attendees that anybody wants to ask at this point?
Marty?
Yes.
there was a chat question about where and when would this schedule be posted. I know that it was scheduled for the National Meetings webpage, but I didn't check today. I don't know if it is posted. Do you have anything further on that for the attendees?
Is Arlene still on?
Wait a minute.
The National Meetings Committee would be the best person to ask that question. There she is. Hi.
The first of the week is going to be on the web, on the National Meetings website.
Perfect. Anything else?
When?
This pertains to all of the sessions. Is there a tutorial for freeconferencecall.com?
There are a couple of them that we did at the Raleigh session. I'll tell you what, I'll put that in the same folder, the same playlist as we put these boot camps. And it's a tutorial that was based on the freeconferencecall.com's own tutorial, but we highlighted it and tightened it up a little bit because that one's goes on forever. So that'll be there. And then in some of the earlier sessions, we referenced a presentation by Jim Heckman, which does a terrific job of that as well. So yes, there are, and we will make those available.
Marty, I'll add that to the National Meetings webpage as well, so that we have the steps available on the master homepage for the whole entire meeting.
Terrific.
Marty, I have a suggestion, or Christy, is to send a note out from National to all the members that this stuff is posted on the National website, especially how to use free conference call.
Well, I have a question then, and I'm sorry. Mary Page, are you still online?
Yes, yes I am. Yes, I am.
Okay. I understood from the video that you had done that you were going to, the transcription of your video in there, it does say that an email will go out to every member, letting them know it's virtual. I have not seen that email. I have seen the email sent from one of my department chairs to the committee, but I haven't seen it personally as a member. Is there still that going to go out to everybody? Because we've kind of been waiting on the announcement.
It is going to be going out. It will also be containing the information on how we are going to be conducting the elections and voting for the Saturday meeting. So I don't want to have 16 cajillion messages going out to our members. We'd like to have a one-stop shopping source for them, and it will be going out after our board meeting on Tuesday.
Okay.
Perfect. Thank you very much. All right, so I think we can wrap it up. Bill?
Hello. Hi, this is Ellen Cook. I have a question.
Okay, Ellen Cook, go ahead.
When does registration begin?
For what? What would you like to register for?
When does registration for the national meeting begin?
Arlene, you want to take that one?
I thought we were just going to take registration for certain sessions, not the whole meeting.
Well, that's a good, I didn't know that. I had seen a reference to registering for the national meeting, and I wondered what that meant. So you register for each individual session.
Not, well, Marty, wasn't it just some of the sessions that...
Let me help out a little bit. Yeah, let me help out. So I didn't know, I threw it to Arlene, not to put her on the spot, because I didn't know the answer, Ellen, whether there would be still, even though we're virtual now, might be a registration for someone to go to any of the sessions. But within the presentations that we've been talking about today in these boot camps, it's an option. I mean, it's generally, as far as we're concerned, we made it real convenient. If you just memorize that meeting ID, USPS ABC, which shouldn't be hard, you can go to any of these sessions, any of these 51 sessions we were talking about, and they're for free, and they're open to you to go to. Some of them may, like, I know one of them in education department I can speak to. The instructor recertification session, which is really getting instructor recertification, will require advanced registration so they know how many people. There's a limited number they can do because it's a very interactive session, and it does recertify you for your instructor certification. So some of them will, some of the other departments may have pre-registration requirements, but generally no, generally it's open, free, USPS ABC. Thanks.
Okay. I have a second question that really applies to the previous session. I noticed in this, when I clicked on the attendees, in the previous session, they were listed in alphabetical order. This one was not. Is there a place where you can decide the order in which your attendees are listed?
That's not one of the choices you have as a producer. I don't know why that happened. Curious. I mean, as a producer, you can choose to let everybody see who's there, or you can actually set it up so that attendees can't go in there and look around, because you may feel that it's distracting to have the attendees just rifling through to see who's there rather than paying attention to the presentation. So that is one of the producer's choices. Either show attendees to other attendees or don't show it to them.
But it's just interesting that the previous session, the list of attendees was in alphabetical order, and this one was not.
That is interesting. I have no explanation for that. Gremlins, right? All right, Bill, how are we doing? That's about it?
I think that's it, Marty.
All right, well, again, thank you, everybody, and these recordings will be available shortly, a little bit later today after we can do a little bit of light editing and clean them up, and then we'll put them up there along with the other materials that we talked about, and that will include where to be able to access the PowerPoint slides without the video. So thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
Marty, I have one more question.
Marty.
Go ahead.
Marty, have one.
Gotta love you, Ellen. Go ahead.
That the administrator has the host has the option of muting everyone. Can they turn off everybody's video camera?
No, I mean it's a little more draconian. If we didn't, and Bill didn't pull the trigger on that today, but it may be in the future that may be possible, and I think it should be. But right now, the only thing the producer can do if people don't comply with no webcams is give them a couple warnings. You can put them on hold, and you can drop them, and then they are kicked out of the meeting. But unlike the mute situation where you can mute people and then they can unmute themselves, you really can't turn off their webcam remotely.
Okay. I just had a comment. I just think some people do not understand when you say we're turning off the video. We're turning off the video. I mean, they
and we didn't pull the draconian method of throwing them out, but in a high-stakes, really important meeting where you really want to have them abide by that, so we don't have ceiling fans distracting everybody and so on. You can lose them. You can just drop them off.
Thank you.
All right, with that happy thought, again, thank you.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.